part of it is how you set up your recording of doing it. And I would say, for me, I'm usually calling racers before they get to that runway. You don't wait till they're across the line. Because what you're doing again is you're listening on your voice. When we're trying to find the information for these aircraft on the tape, we're listening. And so when I hear in the audio, race number 37, I know he's just about to enter the frame. I stop the camera, I freeze it, and then I can advance frame by frame to where 37 comes. If you wait until you're calling it here, you don't get any warning because that plane has already gone by before you can stop it, and then you have to back up the tape, then you have to move it forward. Really increases the time. So for me, the art is really trying to call the race before it gets to the line. Doesn't mean it's official. All I'm trying to do is help myself find the information on the tape as soon as possible. Another little trick is these are voice-activated mics, is to kind of drone into it before race number 7. It activates the mic, it starts the recording, and you know you're going to get a good signal. So don't just 37. That could be problems. You may get 37, or you may only get 7 out of that. I don't know what you're going to get. Talk it out. Here comes race number 37. It could be goofy, it doesn't really matter. Just talk, get that verbal thing. And then again, you can hear it when we're listening to try to get race 37. Okay, here he comes, get ready, boom, stop. Stop it, advance it up. It's one of the arts that they talk about. Picking out the aircraft, you know, Gary's good with colors. I'm not. I mean, I don't have a great memory for all these aircraft. There's so many of them. Jeff Crenshaw was great about it. He could see the damn aircraft on that side. He knew exactly what it was. I'm on it with binoculars. I'm pulling off numbers, information. I'm usually grabbing those guys right off turn 8, and I'm already set up my order of what I think it's going to be in my mind. Okay, it's race 10, race 13, race 37. I'm doing that. What I'm doing is I'm confirming it right here, and then if it goes by, if there's been a pass, I'll say, okay, that was different. I think 37 past 10. You know, it doesn't matter. Let it go. Don't go. Just keep moving. I think I was wrong on that. We'll check. But I think that was 37, not 10, or 10 was really. Just talk it in. That's all right. We're going to back it up, and we'll see. And then we can, because the 2 aircraft will be able to isolate and see what's going on. Really, that's all my art. Is try to have the race set up before it gets here. At the home pylon and a pole that they look, and they actually see the starting line for those guys. When they fly across a visual line, a sight line, there'll be a traffic light. It's up in the upper left-hand corner of the home pylon. You see that little dark area on the upper left-hand side underneath that yellow sign? Okay. That's a traffic light. What we'll do is that's the start of our race. That's when we start and extract our time from when that light comes on. So we're rolling our cameras and we're waiting for, again, that light to come on or the first aircraft to go by. The start for the large planes, we're going to take our cameras in real close. We get as close a view of that light as possible. It makes it a lot easier to extract that light. We're going to do our thing. But when you're going to have 2 people on each camera, one's going to be marking down the order of planes crossing these lines, and he's also going to be noting times that we need that are kind of important for us. Let's say we'll be tracking on the cameras and we see that light comes on at 1 minute and 23 seconds. When you see that, we'll say, Mark, we'll look, and we need to write down like a 123, 124, something approximate, so we can go back in time and extract the true value, the exact value for when that light comes on. So they'll make a little mark for the start. And then it really is just tracking the order of the aircraft as they go around. Then as the last lap coming by, that's where it gets critical again. We'll say, okay, here comes the racers, and they go by. The guy writing down, we'll make a mark, okay, race number 17 came by at 8:37, you know, and again, it has to be approximate. It's not important to be exact, but, you know, we'll go, the spotter will yell, okay, mark, and the guy on there will be looking kind of at the television, he'll see the mark, he'll say, oh, wait, it's approximately 8:37 or something. And that way we can go and find those positions in the film much faster. And we'll do that for, if a group of 3 come by real quickly, that's not important to get all 3 of those guys. But if there's this big lag where 3 go by and then we're waiting forever for 2 more to come by, you might make a little mark that, okay, here comes another one at 9:03 or some other mark. And basically when the last aircraft goes by, we put that notation down and we stop the recording, we go back and we extract the times for the aircraft. Since the tape is already rolled towards the end of the race, it's a good idea to extract those end times first, because they're right there. You don't have to rewind all the way back and then rewind or fast forward up. So we'll roll back to the first airplane, and we start marking our times, doing our thing. And then when we have all the times recorded, we go back and we get the start of the race. Once that's done, we hand the sheets over to Sam, he inputs the data, and we check to make sure we don't have any discrepancies between the two cameras. That's the mechanics of what's going on.
With the tapes, then do you record over the tapes, or you just save one tape
we
per
save,
race?
We save the tapes for the entire day, and we actually go to another set the next day. In case there's some sort of challenge or discrepancy, we still will have that record of that event.
So at the end of a race, you get the time code, you go from the beginning, get the time code. Then are you done with that tape, or you go to the end?
We go back to the end again, because we will
You're going to fill the tape.
Yes, we will. We will. If it's the T6s, we will run a T6 tape for that day.
Okay.
And we'll fast forward. We have time, because then they're doing some stunts or anything else.
Oh. Okay.
We've got plenty of time to get the tape back to where we were for the end of that race, and then get ready for the next race. Then we'll pop in the next tape and be ready for that.
Okay.
That's the basic mechanics of what we're trying to do with this. Now there's a lot of nuances to this thing too, and that's where it gets little freaky, a little weird. There's often going to be discrepancies. You'll have planes that you can't identify easily, or you may not be able to pick out the right number, or there may be a pass right at the end. Don't worry about that. We can iron those things out. Don't get hung up. Where you run into problems is when everybody freezes. When something happens, people go, oh, I don't know, and they freeze up. Meanwhile, the race is continuing, stuff's happening. Let it go. We'll be able to recover it. Because one, we're talking to the cameras all the time.
That's what these are for.
Exactly.
We're going to be mic'd up, and we do a lot of talking to these. Because when we go back and listen to the tapes, there might be, sometimes we get really confused, like if somebody gets passed or lapped. And if we don't write that down right, it gets really confusing when we start looking at the paperwork. If we go back and listen to our comm, and we're calling the nose numbers across, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
So you're putting audio onto the tapes?
That's what this cord right here is doing.
Initially, when they tried to do this, they tried to use high-speed cameras. They could stop the action to 1/1000th of a second. It was totally useless because they could not record sound. We would have these aircraft, we didn't know who they were, and it just wasn't going to work. And once we realized that sound was integral to what we had to do, because it recreates that moment. We can go back in time and recreate that confusion. And were you confused? Was I confused? One of us can work. Race 31 goes by, but somebody calls out as 13. I mean, that kind of stuff can happen.
Right.
Don't flip out. Don't lock up. Just let it go. We'll get it. That's the worst thing that happens is when people like, oh no, wait, and then the race keeps going and it gets all messed up. Don't do that.
The T6 is easy to call. The Unlimited is easy to call. The buys, the formulas, and the jets hard to call.
Jets are real tough for me.
Hard to call because there's 5 red and white biplanes and they're all right together.
Yeah.
So especially at the end of the race, typically there's not a lot of lapping going on them, but at the end of the race, if there's a big gaggle, so you might hear me if you're working with me going on. I know the white guy at the bottom is race 21. So the white guy's 21. And then when the gaggle gets here, I might go 21, 36, or whatever it is. But we know the low guy in the back or the white guy low is at 21. At least we got that much. So I use a lot of colors and the low guy's this, the high guy's this. Because it will get right at the end really confusing.
And we're calling that stuff typically when we're over here. All right, looks like race 23 is high and race number 37 is low. And we're talking that into the camera as it's going. And the guy who's scribing stuff is also watching and listening and ready to, okay, we've got a high one and his eyes are up and he's watching too to help. So it's not that tough, but you have to be audible. You have to be talking in your camera. And then we can usually go back and we can recreate any reality, get back to it.
Do they do any practice runs? Well, you guys have so much experience, so you guys don't even practice runs.
Yes, we do.
You know.
For practice runs, there will be a lot of practicing going on starting Monday. For the qualifying, these guys will be just going around, then they're going to call for the clock. They say, okay, I'm ready to do my qualifying lap here, and they'll call for the clock. Are they all using radios now? Or they still use wing waggles?
Last year they all had radios, but some of them did.
Okay. That's they'll come in, they'll waggle their wings as they approach in there, they're calling for, but they're supposed to be calling on the radio to confirm. The radio person will say, all right, number 37 is just calling for the course. You just vocalize it to us. Cameras are typically run in or ready to run most all the time for that.
That's when you're going to be talking to them on the radio. You'll say, yeah, do we acknowledge they want the clock?
Yeah.
Sandy, but I think that's what he did. He says, okay, and Sandy would say, all right, race 37 wants the clock. And we say, okay, we're ready. He would do it, and then he'll call back, and we would usually confirm it. We've got you.
You to use, because we used to say you're qualified, but then if we screwed it up, you really weren't qualified. So the verbiage they want you to use after qualifying run's done, you'll look down at us and we'll give you a thumbs up. Yeah, it's on our camera, and you just say, hey, racer 2-4, you have a time.
Okay. You have a time.
So they know that they got time.
So, to qualify, do you have to make a certain time to qualify? If you're under a time, you're out, or
you will get placed in a certain class
it's the way
category of those racers. Yes, you'll become either a gold, silver, or bronze racer. You have to try to work your way out of. If you're a bronze group, you're going to have to try to work your way up to silver or gold to participate in those races. The winners of those heats typically.
The little guys have formulas, the buys, they get to qualify once. Jets and Limits can qualify.
They go up and try again.
So usually we got a list of all the ones that are qualified, but that doesn't help you for some Jets because they can be involved. I don't know why they'll do that, but that's the rules.
Often they, especially after qualifying is all done and we're racing. Now, most times the order of their qualification is actually going to be very similar to their order of finish. That's helpful. Doesn't mean believe me, it is not any kind of real rule of thumb. It's helpful. So if your order of racers is 13, 41, 57, 86, it's fair probability it's going to finish that way. That will help also if there's a gaggle or some sort of confusion where somebody misses a plane, some guy poor marking.
Now don't get confused, that's not going to be the order they cross, because most of the time the guy that's going to win, he's probably lapped guys.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other
So the
program.
order that goes across it may be the winner. Racer 4-1's the winner. Racer 4-1, and the next guy across may be Racer 7, who's going to be last place because he was lapped.
Yeah.
But we got to make sure we call them right at the end of the race. Order they go across.
If an aircraft is lapped, he does not get. That's the end. Well, let's just say once it's finished, he does not. If they were supposed to fly 6 laps, but he is lapped, he will only be allowed to fly 5. He can finish his race, but if he's right behind him, he's been lapped. No, that's it for him. He cannot take his last lap.
The most confused, now, just pay attention when guys get laps, because the most confused I've ever been is a guy lapping everybody, and then he has an emergency pulls out.
Oh.
So then you're going, well, shit, who's number 2 now? Oh, since he's number 1 now. But he was lapped. So, I mean...
Spotters are usually calling this out, and paper guys, and we're all talking about these things. So it's not any one person that you got to rely on to keep it straight. We're all in here saying the same game. You know, we're okay, number 7's been lapped, and you know, it's okay, we're doing it. That's the mechanics. Any other questions on the basic operation of that?
So they're not able to modify their planes after qualifying. So it's, because I'm thinking like the difference between the plane's the plane,
Swap
where
engine.
as opposed to like running. You know, you have a good day and then you have a bad day. The plane's the plane, so I can see why whatever the qualifying order is close to.
It's just a helpful hint.
Yeah,
Something
that
I'm trying to-
helps.
Believe me. And then there's some guys that hold back. They'll hold back, save their engines, know that they're going to win the bronze race, but they know that there's really going to be a gold racer, and they're faster than the silver competitors. But they're just backing off because they know the mechanics of what they've got to do. Just win
The
that
winner
first.
of a class, if you win the bronze class, you automatically can go to the silver.
Okay.
The winner of the silver can automatically go to the gold.
And they use that as a strategy. There's some
Sure.
strategy where these guys do that stuff, or somebody, the slow guy.
It's just like the Olympics.
When we get here in the mornings, we're going to hook this, everything's pretty self-explanatory hooking it up, but it'll all be easy to hook up, but this box is sometimes kind of squirrely. So there's this side for that side, this side for that side. You get this ISO switch here. You can turn it down, on, for all, and top to everybody. But if you do that, you got to remember to turn it back off, because you'll be hearing Joe talk and me talk and you talk and everybody talking at the same time. It can get a little overwhelming. But you're allowed to do that. So a lot of times you'll see me and Joe go, "Hey Joe, Racer 7 just lapped everybody back there on the side, backside." "Oh yeah, I got